Hey, what's going on? Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com, doing another little Facebook Live, doing some quick tips on triathlon training. We are back down to the basement office. You can see it's very much still under construction for the past over a year, and lots of things have happened in a year. The whole pandemic thing kind of throws you off a little bit. But anyway, back to the point. I want to talk about questions I've had is what goes underneath the wetsuit. So I've made some points here, things to keep in mind, and especially in the day and age of COVID and pandemics, and what races are doing in order to minimize exposure risks, satisfy different municipalities, and what they're going to do in their transition areas. So that is kind of minimizing to what you can do. So, like my message said there, or like my comment said there at the video, don't go commando. Whatever you do, don't go commando in your wetsuit doing a triathlon, because at some point in time you'll have to take it off, probably in the public's eye. The last thing you want to be doing is exposing little Billy over there with his mom to watch his dad do a race while you're taking off your wetsuit and getting into your race gear. So don't go commando. You gotta wear something probably. So if it's a short race, what I would recommend is basically just wear everything you're gonna wear for the race. I use Under Armour shorts, and then I either have a one-piece tri-kit or a two-piece tri-kit. But if it's a short race, I wear everything underneath it, and then in transition, I put my socks, my shoes on, everything for my bike ride. So basically, all I gotta do is take off the wetsuit, swim cap, goggles, and I wear your plugs, and then you're off and going. So short race, I would just wear everything underneath that. Now, if it is gonna be a little bit cold, that might be a little different. When you get in transition, I'd at least wear the bottom portion if you're wearing a two-piece. Or even if you're wearing, we'll get into it, if you're wearing a full piece tri-suit, maybe take the top half and put it around your waist so you can at least towel off and put the top half back on, but you're going to struggle because you're still going to be a little bit wet, and it's kind of hard to put tri-tops on when you're wet. But if it's going to be a cold race, it's going to be hard if you're going to wear the full tri-suit underneath the wetsuit. So maybe consider that might be an opportunity where you wear as minimal as possible and dry off, put your tri-gear on. But typically, short race, I wear everything, strip off the wetsuit, and I'm off and going. Like I said, you need something. 100% of transition areas, especially if they're in the public eye, there's no nudity whatsoever. So if you're stripping down naked, they're going to DQ you, and they're going to kick you out of the race until you never come back. So wear something underneath your tri-suit. Longer races, you maybe consider wearing a little bit, maybe if you're, like I said, wearing a two-piece, you're just wearing the bottom half underneath your wetsuit. You could wear, like I've said, do Under Armour compression shorts. That's might be a little bit too revealing to be in the public if you do like wetsuit strippers, or if you take a wetsuit off as you're exiting the water. Typically, if I don't have wetsuit strippers, I pull it down to my waist, and I'm running in transition area, and I take it the rest of the way off. So in that case, maybe you could just get away with just Under Armour shorts, and then throw on your tri-suit or tri-kit or whatever you're going to do. So the longer the race, a little bit more time you have to work with in transition. So if you want to put on some dry clothing when you get the transition, maybe, when you get the Olympic 70.3 full Ironman distance, that might be an opportunity. If you wear everything, I highly recommend make sure that you've got lubrication. I've done plenty of videos on lubrication. Like Tri-Slide comes in spray it underneath, like especially if you got zippers. For your tri-kits, if they zip up in the front, spray that stuff everywhere. If you're going to wear all that stuff and you're not going to take it off or put it back on in transition, make sure that you're lubricating underneath everything, especially the one piece, the little underarm part that catches. Lubricate everything before you hit the water, because as soon as you take that tri-suit off, the last thing you're going to be thinking is probably lubrication. But maybe you do that when you hit transition, but make sure at minimum before you start to swim you're lubricated underneath, because all that stuff will rub, especially underneath a wetsuit in the water. You're out there swimming, you're going to cause a lot of friction. If you're wearing your tri-suit or tri-kit underneath that, it's going to cause a lot of friction points. So make sure that you do Tri-Slide, Body Glide, or something like that underneath, especially before you start to swim, to help you out. Next point is, full Ironman usually has changing tents. So back in the pre-pandemic days, you'd have this changing tent, so you could do a full change. Your same gender in the tent, public nudities or nudity in the tent is considered okay. You can do a full change. Now, what is going on with the pandemic world is they're not having tents because they don't want people in a closed space without any kind of mask or social distancing or whatever. So they're leaving it out in the open. So no public nudity. So if you plan on doing a full change for a full Ironman race, Ironman Tulsa is coming up, plan on not being able to do that. Like I said, you can at least wear, Under Armour, like I said, shorts for the guys, and sports bras for the girls. Maybe have those big towels so you can do a little bit of a change. But if you actually drop that towel or anything and you expose people, you're setting yourself up for possible DQ, a penalty, or something. So just be mindful. Read your athlete guide for your races. Make sure to see if they're having a changing tent and if nudity is going to be okay, if you could do a full change, or if you're going to have to plan on doing your transition in a full Ironman without having any exposure whatsoever. So read about your race and make sure you plan accordingly. Usually a full Ironman, you have a changing tent and it's not a problem, but we're in a different world right now in 2021, so read your athlete guide and make sure you read up on what is allowed and what is not. Consider if there's wetsuit strippers, or if you're taking your full wetsuit off before you run into the transition area. Again, just consider whatever you have underneath. There's going to be spectators there probably. There could be children at races. Just make sure that whatever you got on is acceptable to be running around in public with. So if it's see-through when it's wet, it's probably not the best idea to wear underneath your wetsuit and then take that wetsuit off and running. Now, if you're in transition, it's going to be quick. As long as you got something on, take it off and take your wetsuit off and get your tri gear back on. Shouldn't be the end of the world, but have something on underneath. Don't go commando with underneath your wetsuit. So that's a big key. Consider, like I said, I mentioned before, if you've got a full Trisuit, and it's just you put on the bottom and then put in the top, and it's all one piece. Consider some people will just wear it around the waist underneath the wetsuit, and then when they get out, they'll take the wetsuit off, dry off on top, and then put the wetsuit on their sleeves. I find that kind of difficult because when you're wet, trying to put on the spandex, especially if they've got the gripper parts on the arms and stuff, it's just kind of hard. It's a big wrestling match, big pain in the butt. Now, I do use Zoot, full sleeve Trisuit, but this one's nice. It has a full zip on the top, so I don't have to worry about it. And it's a little bit easier if you've got a separate tri-top kit. It's like a shirt or something like that. And you're trying to pull it over your head and wrestle it down. That's going to be a pain in the butt. So make sure that you've kind of thought that out on how to get your stuff on, especially when you're wet. So if you've got a full kit, maybe wear it around your waist so you can at least towel off the top or something like that. But that might be a consideration. Also consider if you're wearing a sleeveless wetsuit, but you have a full sleeve Trisuit, that's going to be outside the water, and it could roll up on your arm and just cause a little bit of drag in the water. So something to be mindful of. So then maybe that's something where you have the bottom on, and you take if it's in one piece, you put it around your waist underneath the wetsuit. So, wetsuit, part of it is to keep you warm. The other part is, to reduce drag in the water. So if you've got a sleeve popping out of a sleeveless wetsuit, it could cause a problem in the water. So just be mindful of that. Personally, like I said, I prefer to wear my full one-piece Trisuit underneath my wetsuit. I have a full sleeve wetsuit. Pretty much if it's wetsuit legal, I am wearing a full wetsuit. I've been in one race where it was a little bit too warm, but other than that, I don't have a problem with it. But if I wear like a speed shoes or something like that, then it's a little bit more dicey because I do have the full sleeves and it kind of causes drag issues, but I muddle through and I make it work. So I've got my Under Armour compression shorts on, and then I've got my full sleeve, full one-piece Trisuit on, and then a wetsuit. And that's what I wear for every race. Just to make it simple, so I don't have to, get out of the water and you have to remember, this time I'm doing this, that, and the other. It's like every time I'm doing this, if it's wetsuit, I'm just wearing a wetsuit over it. If it's not, I'm wearing a speed suit under it or over it, and that's it. So do whatever works best for you, but these are kind of the tips that I want to put out there because a lot of people have questions like, what do I wear underneath the wetsuit? Wear something. That is, I think, priority number one. Wear something. You cannot have public nudity underneath your wetsuit. You got to have something on. Ladies, you got to have something on top, something on bottom. Guys, you got to have something on bottom. So that's just, I think, kind of the bottom line. Make sure you have something on. But other than that, if you got any questions about what to wear underneath a wetsuit, do not wear compression gear underneath your wetsuit. There could be, it could cause problems, medical problems a little bit. You know, it restricts blood flow, and if something happens to you in the water and they try to get you out, and it could cause problems medically. And most races do not allow compression gear like calf sleeves or arm sleeves or anything like that underneath your wetsuit. So make sure you read the rule book on your race to make sure that if it's as allowed or not. So, but other than that, if you got any questions, put them in the comments. Post this up on YouTube and other Facebook places as well. So if you got any questions, put them in the comments. Happy training out there, and we'll see you guys on race day.